Yo. 2022 was a strange year for movies. I was happy that we kind of had a normal release schedule after the 2 weird years of the pandemic. So it was nice to get quite a few movies this year. Now, there was quite a few movies that I did not expect myself to like, and there were quite a few that I expected myself to like that actually sucked. So today I'm going to get into the top 10 best movies of 2022, and I might mention some of the worst ones. We'll see. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you agree with my opinion of this year, let's get into it.
Is the mic on?
Number 10, The Northman. Now, I figured I would probably like this movie because I did like The Witch quite a bit, which was directed by Robert Eggers. I believe that's the director. And he also directed The Lighthouse, which I'm kind of mixed on. But I felt that this movie was a great Viking movie. It felt very realistic while still kind of adding that mystic element. I just felt like it was shot incredibly well. The acting was amazing, but there were moments where I felt like the pacing was a little off. There was also a lot of wieners swinging around this movie. I don't know what was up with that. It was a little bit of a horny movie, which, I mean, a lot of movies are nowadays, but it is what it is. But overall, I thought it was really good, and I'd like to see more Viking movies like this. I'm not really much of a Viking person, but this movie had me interested, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Number 9 is Nope. Now, I wasn't sure whether or not to put this in my top 10 or not, but this movie was so memorable to me, and it had some moments that I just absolutely loved. And this movie was also shot just so well, and I love the premise and how misleading this movie is. And to me, you kind of need to do that with a UFO alien story to stay interesting because there's been so many. And I think Jordan Peele really just went all out for this movie. I'm not sure if I like this one more than Get Out or not. I definitely liked it a lot more than Us. This might be Jordan Peele's best work. I felt that this movie was great, and it's just so creepy and eerie. And it's a lot of fun, too. Even though the ending was a little weird, I still enjoyed it. So I definitely have to put this at my number 9. Number 8 is The Black Phone. Now, I wasn't planning on seeing this movie, and I kind of wish I'd seen it in the theater. I had no idea it was directed by Scott Derrickson, who I absolutely love. He's made so many good horror movies. Sinister is one of my favorite horror movies. This movie isn't necessarily like a hardcore horror movie, but the premise is so interesting. The acting is actually really good, and Ethan Hawke is one of my favorite actors. I also gotta say that the child actor in this movie, the main character, he did a great job. I know he's kind of like a new actor, but I felt like he did a fantastic job, and I hope to see him in more. This movie was just so interesting from start to finish, and I think it just felt so simple but so unique, and I just had a lot of fun watching it. It kept me hooked the entire time, so I highly recommend you watch it. At number 7, Smile. I saw the trailers, and I thought this movie looked really good, but I've been misled by horror trailers plenty of times, so I thought this movie would be a hit or miss, but surprisingly, this movie was better than I thought it would be. It was just absolutely amazing. It was so creepy, and I love the premise, and of course, it's something that's kind of been done before, but I think this movie was handled the best. And I think it actually had some really good cinematography, and that's something that's really important to me in horror movies, as well as the score. I think this movie reminded me a lot of Insidious, which is one of my favorite horror movies, mainly just because it's kind of nostalgic for me, but this movie was just insane. It was a great Halloween movie to watch. I'm definitely going to be watching this again next year. I absolutely love this movie. I'm honestly ready to watch it again. If you like horror movies, I really think you'll like this, and the ending is just so creepy. Great movie. Highly recommend you watch it. Number 6 is Avatar: The Way of Water. I mentioned in my recent review that it could have been trimmed down just a little bit. The 3-hour runtime felt like a bit much, and the action at the end was a little drawn out, but overall, this movie was shot beautifully. The visual effects are stunning, and that says something with all the visual effects that we have today. You can tell this movie was worked on over a long period of time. There's a little more world building. I feel like there's more character development. I'm far more invested in the characters. I love the family dynamic. And honestly, even though I don't think they need to continue this franchise, I am curious to see where they go with it. So yeah, I really enjoyed Avatar 2. Number 5 is Glass Onion. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really plan on watching this one. I love Knives Out, but I didn't really see any reason to make more. I mean, there's more murder mysteries you can do, but I just felt like it would be drawn out. I didn't think Rian Johnson would be able to pull it off again. I felt like the second one just wouldn't work as well, and I would find myself comparing it to Knives Out, but these are very different, and I kind of think that's the point. It's not a direct sequel, and even Rian Johnson said he doesn't want to consider it a Knives Out sequel. It's its own thing, and I just love all the actors that they chose for this movie. I think they play their parts very well, and you're not really rooting for very many characters in this movie. It kind of plays off of the same thing that the first movie did, where you're not really supposed to like everybody. So I think that made it really interesting because you don't really know who's behind it all. Even though I kind of predicted it early on, I still enjoyed the movie quite a bit. Lots of great acting. I do think Daniel Craig's accent is ridiculous, but it's entertaining, so I enjoyed it. There's a lot of laughs in this movie as well. It's just a really fun time. And yeah, I had a great time watching it. It felt weird watching it as a Netflix movie because Netflix doesn't usually put out good movies, but this was kind of meant to be a theatrical release, so that's probably why. Number 4 is Bullet Train. Again, I did not expect this movie to be this good. I saw the trailer and I was like, I'm not going to go see this because it looks like another typical action movie. I just saw the trailer and I felt burnt out from those types of movies. And honestly, I regret not going to the theater to see this one. This movie completely caught me off guard. The cinematography is beautiful. It's insane how every little piece in this movie tells a story, how every character is intertwined. I think this movie was written so well. Even though there's moments that don't feel very realistic, this is one of the most fun movies I've seen this year. It's beautiful to watch. It's colorful. There's a lot of cameos in this movie that are actually joyful and not just a hopeless cash grab. So I highly recommend this movie. I know it's still on Netflix right now. I just had so much fun watching it, and I honestly am ready to watch it again. It's so good. Number 3 is Top Gun Maverick. Now, this is another movie I did not expect myself to see. I honestly didn't really care about going to see it. I mean, I saw the trailers and I was like, cool, this is another cash grab off of a classic 80s movie. I don't really care. You know, I watched the first Top Gun. It was good, but I didn't really feel like I needed more. But this movie was just insanely fun to watch. I mean, it just completely threw me off guard, and it kind of brought back a feeling I don't know how to explain, but I just felt like I was having fun at the movies again. This felt like a movie for everybody to go see. This is just one you go see with your family. It's that sort of like fun America fuck yeah movie. I don't know how to explain it. It kind of has that classic feel. It's just so much fun. It's very thrilling. I mean, a lot of the stunts are real, so I think that's part of it. And the characters are genuine. It's just a fantastic movie, and I honestly had a lot more respect for Tom Cruise after this because I was getting burnt out on him as well. I'm so glad that they waited this long to make it because I know that Tom Cruise wanted to make sure that the right script came along, and they really chose the right one. Do I think they should make more? Probably not, because they really struck gold with this one, but you know, I'm sure the studio will want to make another one, but we'll see. Either way, had so much fun watching this. If you haven't seen Top Gun, you need to watch it now. It is probably best to be seen in theaters, so if you ever see them doing a rescreening or anything like that, you need to go watch in the theater. Number 2, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And this is another movie I did not expect myself to like so much. I saw the trailer, and I knew it was an A24 movie, which I usually like those. Not all of them, but I've liked a lot of A24 movies, but this one seemed like it was reaching. So I just didn't plan on going to see it until one of my friends told me to go check it out. And once I saw it, I was just mesmerized. Now, I didn't know how to feel about it the first time I saw it, but I went and saw it again just to really get a firm grasp on it, and I loved it. I mean, this movie is just beautiful. It's meaningful. It's so much fun. It's action-packed, which I just didn't expect, and you don't really get that from most A24 movies, but this is somehow artistic, but it's also just a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughs in here, and you're kind of watching multiple movies at once, but with the same characters and different characters. It's just a lot to unpack, and it's kind of funny that we got this the same year that we got the Doctor Strange movie, because this is the real Multiverse of Madness. I mean, this movie is just insane. If you haven't seen this, I recommend you go watch it. It may not be for everybody, and I think that's okay, because this movie is just so crazy that it's kind of an acquired taste, but it's a lot of fun. Number 1, The Batman. I had to put this at number 1. I mean, this movie gets my nipples hard every time I watch it. It's just so beautiful. And I typically wouldn't put a comic book movie on my top 10 for the year, but this movie is just everything I could ask for. I mean, of course, yeah, it's the sort of Batman I've always wanted. This is the kind of Batman I watched in the cartoons as a kid. This is the sort of Batman I kind of envisioned from the Arkham games. And I love the way that the city is set up, all the villains and side characters. This movie really builds a universe that I'm completely invested in, because this movie was just orchestrated so well. It really built a universe, but it's also just shot beautifully, and the story is well done. There's character development from start to finish for this version of Batman. This actually feels like a character study, which they haven't done yet. But other than that, even if you're not a comic book fan, I just think this is a really good movie. It's suspenseful. The character writing, like I said, is just amazing. And it honestly rivals The Dark Knight, in my opinion. This movie takes a little more time to build up, but I think there's a beautiful payoff. And honestly, I could watch 5 more movies from this series if they're this good. So yeah, I have to put The Batman at my number 1. Now, to name a few bad movies this year, Morbius was one of them. I'm gonna be honest, I was kind of fucked up when I saw that movie, so I thought, oh yeah, that was fun, that was stupid. And then I tried to watch it again, and my god, it was just so bad. I mean, it was just ridiculously bad. I don't think Sony should make any more superhero movies if they're gonna be on that level. Venom is, fun, but I think they're really reaching at this point. I don't know how that movie got approved, but it was dog shit. And then Jurassic World Dominion. I mean, that movie was just awful. I mean, they got bugs involved in it, like giant bugs. I don't know where that came from. They didn't even really explore the world of dinosaurs. They just kind of went back to an island for some reason. I've just seen that Jurassic Park sequels don't work. The only 2 that have worked are the first Jurassic Park and the first Jurassic World. Other than that, the sequels have just been kind of lame, so I think it was just a horrible attempt, and it's kind of sad that they're ending the franchise like this, but I don't think they should make any more. Oh, and Thor Love and Thunder was also dog shit, and that's because the whole movie was a giant joke. So, there's that one as well. I have nothing left to say about that movie. It's just depressing. So yeah, that's my top 10 for the best movies of 2022. I tried to avoid the really bad movies, so I don't really have a top 10 worst movies of 2022. I just knew of some that weren't that great. I'm sure there's more if I really think back on it, but overall, I think 2022 had a great list of movies, and there's probably more I could add to my top 10, but of the movies I listed, I think you should go see them. And just let me know if there's any that you think I should have added to that list, or if there's any that you recommend. I'd be happy to check them out. So, yeah. Bye.